The Haunting of Blackwood House. In the quiet town of Ravenshade, nestled deep within the New England countryside, stood the infamous Blackwood House. It had been vacant for years, shrouded in chilling rumours and dark history. Few dared to even glance at its towering silhouette, let alone step inside. That was until the Cavanaugh family arrived. John and Melissa Cavanaugh, along with their 3 children, Ethan, Sophia, and little Noah, had been searching for a fresh start. When they stumbled upon Blackwood House at an unbelievably low price, they convinced themselves the past was just that, the past. Despite the warnings from locals, they moved in, eager to turn the old house into a home. The first few days were peaceful, almost idyllic. But soon, an uneasy presence began to take shape. It started subtly, a whisper in the halls when no one was there, the sensation of being watched, objects shifting ever so slightly when no one was looking. The air in the house seemed heavier, carrying a metallic scent, like old blood soaked into the walls. Then the nightmares began. Ethan woke up screaming about a man with hollow eyes staring at him from the foot of his bed. Sophia spoke of shadowy figures lurking in the corners, their elongated fingers twitching as if reaching for her. And Melissa, ever the skeptic, found herself waking in the dead of night, unable to move, suffocating under an unseen weight pressing against her chest. Her breath came out in short, desperate gasps as the room filled with the sound of rasping breaths. Breaths that were not her own. John, ever the rational thinker, dismissed it all as an adjustment period. That was until he discovered the basement. A door they hadn't noticed before stood ajar, revealing a staircase leading into darkness. The air was thick with decay. The walls were covered in deep scratches, as if something had tried to claw its way out. Strange symbols were carved into the stone, pulsating as though alive. In the center of the floor lay a rusted iron trapdoor stained with something dark. As John reached out to touch it, a violent force hurled him across the room, his head striking the cold stone wall. He scrambled to his feet, heart hammering. A guttural growl rumbled through the basement, something shifting beneath the trapdoor. That night, the house revealed its true nature. Noah was found standing in the hallway, whispering to someone unseen. His voice was not his own, deeper, layered with another presence. His small fingers traced symbols into the dust on the floor, symbols Melissa later found, carved into the walls of the basement. The temperature plummeted, frost creeping up the windows despite the summer heat outside. The walls trembled, a deep, agonized wail echoing through the house. The air turned putrid, the scent of rotting flesh seeping from the very foundations. Then came the screams, inhuman, guttural shrieks that seemed to claw at their sanity. The Cavanaughs ran, but the doors would not budge. The windows were sealed shut. They were trapped, prisoners within the house's decaying heart. Desperation set in. Melissa grasped the children, shielding them as John attempted to break down the front door. His fists pounded against the wood until they bled, but the house refused to let them go. The whispers grew louder, turning into a cacophony of anguished wails. Shapes flickered at the edge of their vision, grotesque figures crawling along the ceiling, grinner with jagged, blackened teeth. The lights flickered and died, plunging them into suffocating darkness. The silence that followed was worse than the screams. A single, sinister voice broke through the void, whispering in a language none of them understood, yet it filled their minds with images of suffering, of endless torment. Noah's eyes rolled back as he collapsed, his body convulsing violently. Then, suddenly, the door burst open. A howling wind surged through the house, sending furniture crashing against the walls. The Cavanaughs ran, never looking back, never daring to return. They tumbled into the night, the house behind them groaning like a wounded beast. Blackwood House remains empty to this day. The town of Ravenshade speaks of the Cavanaghs in hushed tones, of how they left in the dead of night, their faces pale with terror. Some say the house still calls to those who pass too close, whispering their names, inviting them in. The house stands, waiting, watching, knowing that sooner or later, someone else will come looking for a fresh start, and the darkness will welcome them home.